Hello out there, all you wonderful people. This is Andre the Game Idea Guy. Thank you once again for lending me your time and your ear and listening into another Why You Know game video. The very last gaming video that's going to be on my channel for the year of 2016. Um, and I've had a pretty good run this year, and I've done so many different idea videos. I'm thoroughly satisfied with that, even though I haven't done all the ones I've wanted to do yet. But there's 2017 and my brain is full of more stuff that I can give you guys to talk about. So I'm going for it. But this video in particular was the little inspired by the Let's Talk discussion that Shadow Fox Infinite and Jay Fleming had on the Gamers at Large channel, which I will provide the link to that in the description below for anybody who wants to go ahead and check that out as a precursor to this particular video. Um, Now, I've been a fan of the Soul Calibur series for, I'd say, a very long time. I played Soul Edge in the arcade. I never played it at home, where it was called Soul Blade over here in the U.S. on the home console on the PS1. Um, I've played Soul Edge, played Soul Calibur, Soul Calibur 2, and Soul Calibur 3. I never really played Soul Calibur 4 or 5. I've read up on the story of each of them, but I've never played either of those, and I haven't played the one that they released on the PSP. So those games I have no experience with or direct knowledge of. But I've noticed though over time that like after three, like once they got to four, the series reception kind of started to decline with people. And I don't think it's because the series is bad, but I think there may have been some bad choices made, or maybe it's just like they haven't known how to theme the game to draw people's attention to it. And I had this thought in my mind, like literally, it's just sitting in my head. And when they had that Let's Talk discussion, I was like, I could talk about this, and it was like I was thinking about it, but it wasn't something that was prevalent to me at the moment. And then I thought about they talked about the 20th anniversary of like Soul Calibur 2. And I was like, maybe I should do this. Maybe not Soul Calibur 2, but maybe the 20th anniversary of the series. Because Soul Calibur 2 didn't come out in 90, it didn't come out in 96. Um, but when I was thinking about that, I was like, I mean, like, and again, some of this stuff is recent things that just popped up to me not very long ago. But there were several things I had already thought about, and that was for them to do a theming on Nemesis. Um, like we know Siegfried tore himself away from the Soul Edge and has had to fight Nightmare, the Azure Knight. So why not have it be a recurring theme where Siegfried has to like sort of like if anybody's watched the Halloween movies, you know how Mike Myers is always after his sister. Um, that sort of thing where you think he's that this entity has been killed, that they're destroyed, they're done for, and they keep coming back. And and I think that would be good theming for this. Like if they were to go with a Soul Calibur 6, and Shadow Fox, I have to disagree with you on going back to just playing Soul Calibur. Simply because Tekken 7 is going to happen. Like, they don't need to be afraid of bigger numbers because they have had a long standing series. Because they're not doing yearly editions of their particular numbered games like a certain other company. Um, so no, I don't think that they should worry about at all. Excuse me, worry at all about the number. They could go with Soul Calibur 6. Or like if they don't want to call it 6 necessarily, they could call it Soul Calibur Sins or something like that. Again, hinging on the theming of a nemesis. Um, I don't know if Sins would necessarily work, but just like you just think of something that catches up with you, like you thought you were done with this and it caught up with you and you have to deal with it again. Um, and for that, I have thought of something I think would be quite interesting for moving forward with Soul Calibur, and that's firstly to say that they should continue with guest characters, um, and do it in this way, where the game has certain third party guest characters that will be on every platform, and then first party characters as guests for specific platforms. Um, and the third party developers I thought to go after would be Square Enix and SNK Playmore. And listen in. Don't discard it just yet. Um, for Square Enix, I would go after them and say, could we get Cloud and Sephiroth? We know that you're doing the Final Fantasy VII remaster and rebuilding the game. This is a good opportunity to promote that game with our game, and we could both benefit from this. So you have Cloud and Sephiroth as Square Enix's Nemesis themed characters, and then go to SNK Playmore and hit them up about Samurai Showdown, and bring in Haomaru and Genjuro Kibagami. Because like that's basically his rival character. Like dude's basically out to kill him, so it makes a lot of sense to have the two of them. And again, that's another weapons-based game. So who would I pick for Microsoft from their roster of characters? Well, I'd hit up Killer Instinct. I'd pick Jago and Gargos. I was about to forget his goddamn name, and my cat is running through the house. Um, like the basic situation with the two of them, you could have Jago facing Gargos and going after him, and Gargos escapes into a portal, and Jago follows him through it. Basically, the way the story in Shadow Lords in Killer Instinct is that Gargos is basically the biggest nemesis that Jago has ever had to face. Like, and he's manipulated him in the past, and there's sort of like a thing with retribution and escaping from the sort of hold that Gargos has had over him through his deception. So again, that like and Jago could fit perfectly in this. Like he would need some tweaking. I wouldn't want to take all of his moves away from him because that would kind of kill the personality of the character. But I think as like a main protagonist and hero-esque character, he would be the perfect choice to drop into this where Gargos has gone back to try to claim the Soul Edge and to use its power for himself to like kind of like because Jago had him on the verge of defeat, so he was like, well, I'm gonna escape all this, go grab this weapon that I know about, and I know at this point in history this is where it is, and I can use it to beat him, and then I can spread my chaos and take over the world the way I want. Um, for Sony, the obvious choice here would be Kratos from God of War and Zeus as his nemesis. Um, I know that Kratos was used in the PSP version of Soul Calibur, and that's fine and all. But I don't think that his playstyle should be the same as it was in that game. Actually, I had an idea about how his playstyle would work, and I kind of want to explain it real quick. But more or less, he has different weapon types that he has, where he has like a dual-handed weapon, or he has like a single-bladed sword, and he also has his like long-range bow and arrow type stuff. So my thought would be that you could have him switch play styles depending on what weapon he's holding at that that point in time, like what type of weapon he's holding during that particular time. And again, that's something I think would be an awesome thing to do, and I would really be interested in how they could work that out, and it would make him like a highly versatile character for Soul Calibur. And like, and it's not like there aren't characters that are that versatile, but there are not that many characters with that many styles of combat that match up with him like that. And I think it could be interesting to see how well he would work against certain other characters. Now for Nintendo, the super obvious choice. They were like, there's nothing more obvious than Link again. But instead of Ocarina of Time Link, we use Skyward Sword Link, and instead of using Ganondorf, we use Demise. Like and then no people were like, but Demise is locked away forever. No, he's not necessarily locked away forever, and this is a good opportunity to explore if he got out or if he found a way out. He found a way to release himself, to free himself from his prison, and looking at it like that, I'm like, Link has been sent to put a stop to him. Like he's just been sent out to put a stop to him, and then they can give this version of Link moves that come from Skyward Sword, like how he can bowl a bomb, or with his ability to rush really quickly, like his and take and like maybe considering his stamina meter and how he's able to run fast and rush things. Not like he didn't have a charge move in Soul Calibur 2 when he was put in there, but this way you don't need a necessary startup time. You have a move where he can just dash really quickly and charge somebody with like his shield or something and knock him down and stab him with the sword. You can also give him updated variants of his weapons that fit Skyward Sword, like with his bow and with his arrows. Like I think he had explosive arrows in that game if I remember right. I might be wrong, but just give him a combat style that fits Skyward Sword, where he's a little bit more agile, a little bit more nimble, and it's not like it's impossible. Like he would still be an all around type character, but he probably have a little bit more emphasis on speed. At least that particular version of Link, as I would imagine it. Um, but getting back to Jago, because I kind of just jumped away from him to talk about the other particular guest type characters, which would lead to 10 different guest characters. So, but bearing that in mind, Jago, his wind kick could stay, but I think instead of it having covering as much distance as it does in Killer Instinct, you cut it back so that it maybe covers like a quarter of the screen, but it has the ability to kind of track. So when he does his kick, he goes the direction that you're going. He doesn't just go straight by you. I mean, make it dodgeable so it's not like he's just like right on target all the time, but he angles himself to go to where you are headed. So you do have an opportunity to avoid the attack. It's just a little bit more difficult to do. Not like characters wouldn't auto block anyway, but just so that it would be adjustable to how the game works. Um, the Endo Kuken, which is basically his projectile attack, I could see that being something that he does only as like a soul charge type move, where he's powered up, he can throw it, and it be the shadow version of it from Killer Instinct, where it gets the multiple hits, and I would also enable it to stun somebody. If it actually hit them, it stuns them long enough for you to get in and like put a combo in on them. I can't remember the names of his other moves, but his Dragon Punch move, which I think is it's Tiger something. I can't remember what it is, but he could easily keep that. But he just with that variant of the move, he just uses the variant of it where he uses the sword, so it has range. But I'd cut back how high he goes with it, obviously, and make it so that while he's in the air, he's obviously be vulnerable as hell in the air if he missed. But if it connects, it will knock somebody up into the air, so you could possibly juggle them because he would have enough time once he got back down to the ground in order to keep them in the air for a few seconds and maybe deal some more damage to him. And then his other move is obviously it like the character I kind of figured them modeling him after would be Hong Huang. I think that's how it's Huang, because the way they move their sword style is kind of similar, at least from what I've seen. So they could model him after him, or to be technical, the assassin from Soul Calibur 2 would probably be a better fit. But still, the moves are very similar. They're not too different, and he could basically fight in that style. And it's not like Jago isn't a monk, so it literally fits perfect with his character. Um, but beings like Gargos, gosh, man, like I'd have to think about him because he has so many different abilities that could be considered weapons. It's kind of like so, there's something that like I would have to like sit down and like study the hell out of him thoroughly in order to come up with like a really good play style for him. But I think he would fit very well into the world of Soul Calibur because he uses magic and he can manipulate space and time. So he literally fits perfectly in there. Same for a character like Zeus. He literally would fit perfectly in there. And there's like nothing I can say against using Zeus. The only thing I'm trying to think of is what kind of weapon would I give him to fight with? And like, you can't say he using his lightning. I mean, he could use his lightning to make a weapon, but I'm thinking like, should he use a broad type sword or should he use something that's more one-handed? I'm trying to think, or maybe like a sword and shield, and like in this, like sitting in the back of my mind, who could he be modeled after? Or like, and I kind of want to say he would use a broadsword because it just seems like the kind of character Zeus would be. He would use like a broad type sword, but I'm not sure because there's so many other things I could think of him doing. And like, hell, I could see him using a trident, but again, that would be taken away from Poseidon, and I'm like, maybe not the best idea. Um, but there's a lot of stuff I can see him doing. So I would think though a broadsword would probably be the best for him. Um, and demise is kind of self-explanatory, but but I'll go into it. He'd be using his big, thick demon sword, which he can wield with one blade, with one arm. So yeah, he'd basically be, I'd say, a scarier version of Nightmare. Like I could see him just being like a scarier version of Nightmare and maybe being a bit faster. Because Nightmare is a little bit slow from what I remember. But then again, I haven't played Soul Calibur 4 or 5, so he could have been sped up. But I remember him being kind of slow, where Siegfried was a bit faster, but and a little bit less powerful. But that's it for the basics of it. I mean, again, theming the game to around Nemesis, and it's kind of what they're doing with Tekken 7, where Akuma is the Nemesis of the Mishima family, and I think taking that theme and moving it over to Soul Calibur, but adding more guest characters would be and make it great. It would be extremely interesting, and then they could also have the arcade version of the game, which would have all 10 of the guest characters. And like, I know it would make the home console versions of the game kind of suck a little bit in comparison, unless somebody could get Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo to strike a deal where all of these characters can be on each and every platform, which I don't know if that would happen, but it would be cool if it did. I would jump over the damn moon if that happened, but I doubt it would. So we'd end up with each game having each console platform having 6 guest characters, 2 third party, and I mean 4 third party and 2 exclusive, which I think fair enough. I think that would be fair enough, and honestly, it would be pretty cool. And then for somebody like me, that would make me want to get all the versions of the game, especially with these particular characters. I'd want all of the versions of the game so I could play with each and every one of them. And I know that would mean I would have to triple dip, but it to me it would be worth it, especially since I like fighting games. So, and then I could play on different platforms against different people. So again, it would just make me more robust as a player. So I don't. Yeah, that's probably a poor excuse. The only thing I can't think of for a PC is a character that is exclusive to PC that's popular enough to draw people to Soul Calibur. I can't think of it. It was like is that's bad. It's bad because but that's basically for me because I don't really know much about PC exclusive games. And the one character I probably would have thought of would have been Gerald from the Gerald Gerald from the Witcher. Man, no, what's up with my speech today? I would pick him, but it's not a PC game anymore, and that's kind of why I'm like, it's a tough choice. There's probably a really appropriate character I just haven't thought of, so that would make for a fourth edition of the game, and I think again it could be interesting, but you'd have to have a particular character in mind that would work, unless they just wanted to go with making the Xbox version for Windows 10, and then you just get Jago over on the PC side of things, and I think that would work too. Jago and Gargos, I think that would work out. But that's it. I think I'm done. This is again, this is just something that was interesting to me, and and they had the less talk, and I was like, I wish I was in on this conversation because I could have added this stuff in, though it probably would have made it. I think that's probably why I wasn't on it because I would have made that conversation extremely long. So, and this video right now is like 20 some odd minutes. So, that's it with me. Thank you guys very much for listening. Keep your eyes and ears out for more stuff from me. And until the next time, enjoy your games. And you guys out there have a safe and happy new year. Peace out.